in the time span of 50 years.
Demographics have changed drastically. You've got the Chinese, you've got the Japanese, you've got Indian. I was called a terrorist.
Our first job and
Delivering flyers house to house. And it also included you cleaning the bathroom.
touch about unemployment. I'm going to touch about homelessness. 41% of international students who come to Canada were Indians. Brain drain in India.
A lot of tears, a lot of laughs, but all in all good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the show. You are tuned into Beyond the Borders with Arjun, Season 1, Episode 2, CKLU 96.7, your station, one of the most diverse radio station in Northern Ontario. You can listen us live on 96.7 megahertz, Radio Player Canada app, cklu.ca. You can catch us live at tuneintoarjun.com as well as tuneintoarjun on YouTube, Insta, Facebook, Spotify, and other different mediums as well. Talking about Beyond the Borders, this is the show that explores stories of remarkable individuals who transcend boundaries to make a difference. It is not just about telling inspiring stories, it's about making difference in the lives of immigrants and newcomers from different countries as well. Our show is divided into three segments to cater the diverse need of our audience. In our first segment, we interview individuals who have contributed significantly to the lives of immigrants, shedding light on their efforts and others to do the same. Similarly, in the second segment, we have an info sessions where we explore and highlight opportunities and information for newcomers, providing them with valuable resources to help them settle and thrive in their new home. And last but not the least, the final segment is none other than Q&A sessions where we discuss issues relevant to international students, immigrants, and newcomers, focusing on their overall growth and development with our expert. All right. So before we get into anything and everything, ladies and gentlemen, let me talk about our guest. Today, I'm honored, I'm blessed to have none other than the one and only Dr. Bela Ravi, a dedicated community leader who has been in Canada for almost 5 decades. Dr. Ravi's commitment to serving in the local community and immigrants in Sudbury and inspired by her mother's example is truly inspiring. So, ladies and gentlemen, join us as we learn more about her journey of compassion and service. But before that, one more thing I'm going to add, like she has multiple, introduction. So she's community leader, university chancellor, member of the City of Greater Sudbury's senior advisory panel, not to forget president of the City of the Sudbury Multicultural and Folk Arts Association, past co-chair of the Institute of Canadian Citizenship, past fundraising committee member for Algon Street Mission, past board member of the Ontario Arts Council and the YMCA Northeast Ontario Foreign Development Committee, member of the Laurentian University Board of Governors, supporter of the Rainbow Board, students. Ladies and gentlemen, I already told you we are very much honored. Seriously, we are very much honored and blessed to be joined by community leader and university chancellor. She is unstoppable, since 1973. Still going on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about one and only Dr. Bela Ravi. Ma'am, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's my honor to be here.
So, how have you been and what's going on in life?
A little nervous, but otherwise things are good. Haven't done this before much.
All right. So, let's begin our conversation with the very first question. So, how has the Canadian society evolved in regards to support system, acceptance and welcoming of immigrants then and now? It's been like you came here in 1973.
Right. I thought things were getting better But in the last couple of years, I've had experiences where I find it takes me back to the 70s when the racial problems were very prominent. And it's just in the last couple of years that I've noticed. And but on the other hand, when I came in '73, there weren't the supports for newcomers. There were not agencies. There was not a push to get newcomers here and have welcoming committees. And I wish we had all that then. We didn't have places like multicultural centers where you could go and meet somebody who looked like you, spoke like you,
True.
knew your culture. So we've come a long way in certain things, but I think certain things we still need to work on, and we hope someday, we will be where I'd like to see us go.
All right. So you came here in Canada in 1973, and then you moved to Sudbury, right?
Well, there was a lot of moving around, not just to Sudbury. I came to Canada in '73, came to Montreal, then moved to Toronto within months because French was something you needed in Montreal, and I was 12.
That's right.
My sister was 15, so learning the language at that point for school was very hard. So as soon as that, we came in February and June, we moved to an English-speaking province, Ontario. And I was in Ontario till '88. Moved to New York for 3 years. My husband did his residency there. From there, we went to, believe it or not, from New York to Saskatoon for 2 years for him to do his cardiology training. Then back to Toronto for 2 years. Then our final destination, 1995, January 1st, was Sudbury, Ontario.
Oh yeah. So how was your first experience of Sudbury, and in the time span of 50 years, how do you see the societal improvement of the Sudbury, and how was Sudbury at that time, and how is it now compared to that of the time you came here?
Well, when I came here, I was very scared, grew up in Toronto, lived in New York City, but I did have the 2 years in Saskatoon, so my mother was very worried how I would adjust to a smaller place. But, when you're growing up, the first 12 years of my life were in India. And when I moved to Sudbury, at times it reminded me of the hospitality of India. People knew I was new in town.
Yeah.
They knocked on my door. They said, "We are your neighbors. What can we do for you? This is garbage day. If you need a babysitter, we can recommend a babysitter." Everybody left me their phone numbers saying, "If you need anything, reach out to us." It was amazing. And I said to my mom, you know how in India people don't call and they'll just knock on your door and they're there? And I got wonderful hospitality coming into town. And I, within months, knew this was home. I wasn't going anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I was so hesitant coming, I knew I wasn't going anywhere. This was going to be home for us long term.
You've been to U.S., dream country of thousands and hundreds and thousands of people.
Canada.
What is that factor that brings you in here and you lived for long?
I think I'm very family oriented, so I wanted to be close to my family was in Toronto. My husband's brother also in Toronto, and I wanted to be where family is. I wanted, even though we didn't have kids then, I wanted down the line when we all have families, all the cousins to know each other, and know their grandparents. I was okay to be in the U.S. as long as maybe I was in Buffalo, New York, cross the border, or I was in Michigan where I could drive back. I didn't want to be very far from family. I didn't want to plan a trip. If I felt like seeing family on the weekend, I wanted to be able to do that. And Sudbury was perfect for that. That was the reason I didn't even come to Sudbury before moving here. I looked on the map, I looked at the distance, I said, I can drive this. So that, that was my motivating factor. Really.
All right, so it's been it's a long, long time,
30 years.
Yeah. In terms of development, in terms of the situation of immigrants in terms of overall, what did you find then and now?
Well,
Changes
overall,
and everything.
the demographics have changed drastically. Honestly, I'll talk about the Indian community. If I saw somebody who I didn't recognize, I'd go, that's a new person in town.
Oh yeah.
But now you try doing that, if that's not happening. We've got the multicultural aspect in the city, not just from India, from all over the world.
Yeah.
People are coming to Sudbury, so that has been, and you can see it in the cuisine. We've got every different kind of. You've got the Chinese, you've got the Japanese, you've got Indian, you've got the Mediterranean food. We didn't have all this when I came here. We didn't have an Indian store. We did not have an Asian store. We've got all that here now, and it's nice. It's very, very nice, because sometimes, even though you moved here, you still want to keep you want to keep your culture. You don't want to lose, you don't want to forget your roots.
Yeah.
So now having a community, every community, not just the Indian, every community has an organization, people they can relate to.
True.
So it's been a very positive change. We could work on more acceptance and more tolerance, definitely.
Can you a little bit elaborate that?
I've been here 50 years, and like I said earlier, I've had a couple of incidents lately, and a couple also when my girls were growing up, and at that time I thought what I faced, my girls would never face. But my daughter, who was called a name, a racial slur, was a feisty little thing. She's 29 now. She went up to the principal, held her hand, and said, "Can you come with me?" And she took the principal to the person and said, "This person said this to me." So she knew this was what was happening was wrong, and this was years and years ago. And then I forgot about all that, and I thought, okay, you know what, we're getting there. And then I think it was during Black Lives Matter march that I joined.
Okay.
Wanted to go out and support people, and I was called a terrorist. So what happens is every time a little incident like that happens, you go back to the 70s when you went through a lot being called names at that time. So it always takes you back to those moments where you felt helpless.
True.
But now I don't feel helpless. That's the thing. Being a part of this community, I speak up and I tell others, stand up for yourself.
True.
Yeah, it's don't forget your roots. Don't ever forget where you come from. Be humble. And so we have issues still, and we are dealing with them. I know there's lots being done. Lots. EDI is everywhere. And we're going to get there. We're going to get there. I'm positive.
Hopefully.
Yes.
I'm just going to go to Sudbury once again. When can you please share your experience of first job? I'm sure everyone is like...
first job in Canada?
In Canada. And then how did you land your first job, and what was the best part of that job in terms of your career and upbuilding?
Well, my first job was delivering flyers house to house. You know how we get the flyers at home now?
Yeah.
And the mailman brings
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Before, the kids did this. On a cold winter night, you go house to house and you deliver those because there was a need, financial need.
True.
To do that. And then this is, you can do it when you're 12, 13. So it wasn't only after you turn 16 can you hold any other job. So when I was 16, I got a job with Sears Canada in a warehouse packing stuff. And I also worked part-time at a grocery store called Food City that's no longer around. Back in the 70s and 80s, I worked there. And you did everything when you were at a grocery store. Of course, you were a cashier. you do customer service, which I loved meeting people, loved talking to people. But you also restock the shelves. When I see these kids at Walmart now, it reminds me of my times when I used to stock the shelves and do all that stuff. And it also included you cleaning the bathroom. That was part of your job.
Yeah.
You know what? You've got, okay, the store's not busy. It wasn't just me. Everybody had a turn to do it.
True. Yeah.
So we did what needed to be done. And the way I've always looked at it's an honest day's work, no matter what you're doing. You know, it's an honest living.
True.
So I didn't feel bad doing it. And nobody should. There's nothing wrong in an honest day's work.
Yeah, as an immigrant, everyone has to go through that phase of life, isn't
You
it?
do have to. You know, a lot of people see me as what it is now, but they didn't see me when I didn't have boots on
Exactly.
a minus 30 day. They didn't see me going to the Salvation Army to buy my clothes because we could not afford new clothes. And that was the highlight of my weekend, to go to the Salvation Army and pick up some clothes. They didn't see me when I couldn't fill up the tank of gas, because at that time they didn't take credit cards,
Oh, yeah.
right? And you could not use credit cards in grocery stores to buy. So you ate what was at home. So we all went through what people, newcomers, are going through. So the conditions are you still go through that process. And I think really when you go through that process is when you appreciate what you have now.
Yeah.
Right? It makes me appreciate what it got me to. So, and yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah.
A lot of tears, a lot of laughs, but all in all good.
And it's still unstoppable. And, you know, you never stopped and you're
No,
going ahead.
my mom was the one who really...
I was about to touch that. In 1990, you started your first volunteering experience.
Yes.
And since 1990, you have never stopped serving the community of Sudbury. So you are volunteering for immigrants and local community. You get no payback or near to zero benefits from the service that you are like providing. How has your family's support been throughout the journey of 5 decades? Is there any change in your moral power throughout this whole time?
You know what? I appreciate things more because when you go serve a meal to the homeless and the hungry, that's when you see, you know what? What am I complaining about? There's nothing to complain about. You know, you look at those people, they come in with kids. You see a child, that's the worst thing you can see, is a child walking in who's hungry. And my mom, as far back as I can remember, even as a little girl back in India, somebody needed something, she would hand it over without thinking. I remember a time in our Indian weddings, she gave daughters jewelry.
Yeah.
And one of her friends' daughter was getting married and did not have the jewelry. My mom just handed it over. Said, here it is. You know, you need it.
Yeah.
More than I do right now. Not that my parents were very well off. They were not. They were struggling in India. That was one of the reasons to come to Canada, because they were barely making ends meet.
Yeah.
So she just would hand it over. We would have girls staying at our place who've had domestic issues all the time. She would give them a space to stay, money if they needed, food if they needed. And even when it was our birthdays, so we used to go to the ashrams, where the orphanages.
Yeah.
That was the thing. You go feed the hungry is what you do. And give back. So that giving back part is my mom in me. That she taught me that. And she always told me, if you give a little, you'll get a double back. And I've seen it happen over and over again. And I've done a little bit for somebody, and I get not material. I'm not talking materialistically, but you get so much back in that. It's amazing.
That satisfaction.
That, and you know what? I'll have to say, volunteering is also addictive. Giving back is addictive
Yeah.
because it's such a good feeling to do that.
But that's a good addiction.
It's a good, yeah, it's a good addiction, but it is an
Yeah.
addiction.
So I'm going to touch about addiction. I'm going to touch about unemployment. I'm going to touch about homelessness. Back home, we have an imagination of Canada, like, or any other First Nations, to be free of social issues like unemployment, homelessness, drug addictions, social issues, things like that. But we can see many homeless people and addicted ones in the street, downtown streets. Was it the same when you first came to Canada, or did this problem grow with the time?
It definitely grew with time. I remember seeing homeless people here or there, but nothing like what we see today.
Okay.
Remember back then, you could get a decent job with a high school graduate. That's not out there anymore. Cost of living is much higher.
Exactly.
Okay, and then in the last few years we got COVID. And as you must have noticed, the numbers of homeless out there
Yeah.
has gone up drastically since COVID.
True.
People lost their job. It caused mental anguish for a lot of people. A lot of this has to do with mental health. And they got evicted. They couldn't pay the rent.
Yeah.
Where they're supposed to go, they have nowhere to go. I know there is a lot of work behind the scenes by the city, by private people and agencies to get affordable housing going. There is lots happening behind the scenes, but everything takes time. I have never seen it the way it is right now. Never seen it the way it is right now. So I hate to say it, my husband's in medical, but there's not enough support for mental illness, and there is a stigma to mental illness that people feel if they go see a psychologist or a psychiatrist, they're crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not crazy. They just need help.
Yeah.
Just like when you have a fever, you take a Tylenol. Okay? You're not well. Get the help you need, and just reach out to a friend, family, before you get to a point where it's of no return.
Yeah.
Right? So I just wish there was more mental health help out there, because the wait times are long, and because there's a shortage.
All right, so let's talk about India. As per Statistics Canada, 41% of international students who come to Canada were Indians. This might be a serious issue for brain drain in India. What do you think the influx of such a large number of students hold for Indian society in a whole? What do you think?
First thing I think about the population of India.
Yeah.
Right? We're 1 billion plus and growing very fast. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So if you compare the percentage compared to the other countries that the students are coming in, if you put in a graph like that with proportionate to the population, it is not as high as it seems, right?
Yeah.
And in a population like that, it is very competitive. Not saying they're not smart to get something there. It is hard. There's a number of people applying for the same thing.
Yeah.
And you and I both know that in India sometimes, depends on who you know, what you can offer, right? I'm talking monetary.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. And not everybody has a level playing field to have the connections, have the money, all that. And so I feel in Canada, if you work hard, the opportunities are there.
Everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere in the world.
There's opportunities are there. That's how my mom came. We came because my mom was working 14 hours a day back in early 70s, 60s, right? So a friend of theirs moved to Canada and said to my mom, if you work these hours in Canada, you would be, having a better standard of life. standard of living, better family time.
Yeah.
And my mother was up all night sometime working. So it is a land of opportunity for those who want to work hard and
Who has patience?
who has patience
Yeah.
and a lot of I guess patience and endurance because it takes a lot. Believe me, there were lots of tears in
Yeah.
73 and 74 for me.
Yeah.
Just wanted to go back. Just wanted to go back. Missing relatives,
Yeah.
right? Missing our food. We wouldn't get our groceries.
True, true.
Right? So it was. It really does a number on you emotionally. And and we came in the winter. Winters are depressing for everybody, not
Everybody.
just the newcomers.
Yeah.
So we came in February. So not a good time to come to Canada, people. If you're coming,
So, as an immigrant, everyone suffers. Everyone suffers.
Everybody.
So we know there are groups, there are associations to support people from different nationalities. I want to know, is there any group or organization which can lead all those communities and bring them all into single place for a improvised, powerful support for the immigrants?
well, we have the Sudbury Multicultural and Folk Arts Association.
Okay.
That is an umbrella for organizations from all over the world that exist in Sudbury.
Wow.
There's 102 flags, I believe, on that bridge.
Yeah.
That's how many countries are represented in the city of Sudbury.
Wow.
Imagine that. We have not been able to get them all under our umbrella, but there is the Sudbury Multicultural Folk Arts Association. We are now located in Tom Davies Square on the main floor in economic development. And we provide any kind of guidance you need when you're here, new how to get your social insurance number, schools, health care, education. We have language training, English and French, and it's a one-time fee of $40, and you can take as many classes as you want. This is conversational,
Wow.
but there is help there, and one-time $40 fee, and you're set.
That's amazing.
Yes, and we do Canada Day. Canada Day is when we have food from different parts of the world. We have cultural performances at the Sudbury Arena. We have an attendance of about 5,000 people every year. Please come out to the arena this year, and if you want to participate, if your community wants to have a booth to sell food or ornaments or from your or things to sell from your country, please contact Sudbury Multicultural at 674-0795, I believe, and talk to the staff there. If you want to perform your cultural dance, please contact us. We are looking for people, and July 1st is not that far.
Yeah.
And come join us. You want to volunteer? Give us a call. We're always looking for volunteers.
All right, thank you so much. So almost at the end, we talked about issues, social issues. We talked about difficulties. We talked about many different problems. So what do you think? What measures do you think should be implemented to overcome these difficulties to make it a better place for immigrants?
I think more multicultural events so the local community gets to know the newcomers. The newcomers don't stay in their pockets, and they get to meet the local communities.
Yeah.
And because, sure, keep your culture, but embrace where you are. You do things in the community, and I know I meant to say there's another organization that has the newcomer settlement program. It's the YMCA settlement program. Okay, so they're there for immigrants from all over the world too. So YMCA does events, local immigration partnership does events, and we're all we all want newcomers to come register with us so we know you're here. A lot of newcomers don't register and with any of these agencies, so we don't know if you've come into town. We can't reach out to you if you're doing something. So please register with the YMCA, Sudbury Multicultural, that you're in town and what country, where you're coming from, what your needs are. Maybe we can direct you. We might not be giving you the service, but we meet, all of us agencies meet and refer to each other. Okay, this agency is doing this, so we will, refer you or get you in contact with somebody who can help you with your needs. And we also want to know what we're missing. What is the things that we're not doing that the newcomers need? Because you got to remember, a lot of these panels are not newcomers. Even myself, I've been here 50 years, so I think, okay, you know what, but there's little things that are, I'm sure, falling through the cracks. So please tell us what you need, and maybe we can start something that helps you.
Exactly. The first and foremost thing is reach out, talk, communicate, share.
Yes.
So I think that's the thing. So almost at the end, I know half an hour is impossible to share your 50 years of experience. I'm sure listeners can understand that. So before we leave, I'm going to ask you the very last questions for you. So for your dedicated community service, you have been awarded many different awards, like just to name Queen's Diamond Jubilee, Hall of Fame, Community Builders Awards of Excellence, the Paul Harris Fellowship, just to name a few. So what does it mean to you having came here as an immigrant to getting such recognition? It is inspiring to newcomers, but what does this mean to you personally?
I appreciate all the awards that I have, but I don't do it for the awards. I never do something that doesn't feel right in my heart. It comes from the heart for me. True. And I love what I do. And there have been some offers to join something, but my heart just doesn't, I don't belong in certain things. Certain things I can do and I'm passionate about, and I've always done what I'm passionate about. So it's something I love to do, and I thank everybody for the recognition, but I love doing it.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am, for your time, and
thank you.
Thank you so much for blessing the show.
Oh, thank you. Oh, my pleasure, and thank you for asking me.
Anything you want to say, like to the listeners, to your well-wishers, to Sudburyans?
I just want to say, keep plugging. We all went through it. We all came out the other side. I know you'll have your bad days, but the good days are coming. Just give it time.
Yeah, just give it time. Be patient.
Yes, give it time. We all went through it.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's been an honor, privilege. Thank you so much.